You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. The LSU basketball team, candidly, has just not been much to watch. There isn't a whole lot to say. They're a team that I think is better than they were a year ago when they finished right at just under 500 in the conference. But in a year where the SEC is literally the deepest the league has ever been, in the updated top 25 that came out today, Monday, January 27th, there are 10 SEC teams ranked. 10 of the top 25 are from the SEC in basketball. It's bonkers. It's the not too distant past when the league got 3 teams in the field of 68. So LSU is just caught in a terrible storm where the league is awesome, and while LSU is good, they're just not awesome. So they're 1-5 in the conference. They beat Arkansas. Next up, they got to play number 1 Auburn, which is, I think, the best team in college basketball. And then you might have a shot at a couple of wins. You play Texas at home, and you got to go to Georgia. So we'll see. But it's not going to go well, and there's not a lot. Look, baseball is right around the bend, so most LSU fans have just moved on. They're thinking about baseball. But if you were watching LSU against Alabama on Saturday, there was a reason to be excited, and that reason was Trey'Dez Green. Yes, the same Trey'Dez Green, the 5-star tight end who just caught 2 touchdown passes in the bowl game. The same Trey'Dez Green who had 4 touchdown receptions this year, the same number as Mason Taylor, who's the best receiving tight end in LSU program history.
Mason Taylor!
We're all very excited about what Trey'Dez Green is going to be in football for LSU next year and for the following year, and hopefully the year after that as well. But Trey'Dez Green entered the game at about the 12-minute mark, or maybe just inside the 13-minute mark in the first half. And it was instant offense and energy and enthusiasm. And my goodness, did he make a highlight reel play.
Now to Youngblood. Shot going to be blocked by Trey'Dez Green. Green on his way to the basket with a tomahawk slam with a left hand. Trey'Dez Green, welcome to the Tiger Basketball Club.
I mean, if you weren't watching, you're talking about a dude that is 6'7", 245, and long. He was playing on the wing. He stepped in front of a passing lane. He led a one-on-one break, and he tomahawk dunked it for his only points of the game. He was 1 for 2 from the floor. He pulled down 3 rebounds, and he had a personal foul, which was also pretty awesome because he threw an elbow, like a forearm shimmy, right to some dude's chin. They had to go review it to see if it was going to be a common foul or a flagrant. They ruled it a common foul. But either way, the point is, the 9 minutes of run that Trey'Dez Green got was probably the most exciting thing I've seen from this basketball team in conference play, just very candidly. It's a reason to watch going forward, man, to see how this continues to materialize. Now, I've shared this with you as well, but I had a chance to chat with Trey'Dez last spring. It was around March or April. And not on air, just separately. And he told me point blank that basketball is his first love. I mean, he was a guy that averaged over 20 points a game in high school last year at Zachary. If I remember correctly, I think it was like 23 and 11. And he loves basketball. Football wasn't something he did until later in his high school career. Went to camp, did really well, and was like, oh, I could be good at this. And now all of a sudden he's a 5-star and he signs with LSU and everything. But this is creating sort of an interesting juxtaposition where you have a guy that loves basketball and is a 6'7", 245-pound body on a team that, especially after Jalen Reed's injury, needs size and depth and physicality, stuff like that. He provides it for you. But he's also a guy who's playing 8 minutes on a team that's at the bottom of the SEC standings. All that to say, the impact Trey'Dez Green is going to make in basketball is minimal relative to his potential impact in football in 2025. So while Trey'Dez Green right now is with the basketball team, what is going to be interesting is what happens when spring football rolls around. Now, I went and checked the dates to kind of cross-check the calendar. Last year, spring football started at the beginning of March, like March 5th, and ran through April 13th when they had the spring game. Basketball season, let's be honest, LSU's not making the postseason, but the SEC tournament is March 12th. So let's say LSU plays in the 12th, they're bounced, or maybe they win a game and move on to the second. They'll play on that first day of the tournament. Maybe they win and they move on, but then they'll get bounced. So all that to say, Trey'Dez would likely end up missing the first full week of spring and then could rejoin the team. And I guess it's going to be interesting because he is a scholarship football player. He is at LSU on a football scholarship. So football is the priority, which is why he was with the football team until the season ended and then went to basketball. So now this is a conversation that Brian Kelly will have with Matt McMahon and how they all play that out. But does Trey'Dez stay with the basketball team to the end of the season? Or does he go back to football at the start of spring? I don't know the answer to that question. We'll see how it plays out. But remember, you're going to have a new tight ends coach. Slade Nagel's gone. And you're also bringing in both Bauer Sharp, Donovan Green, and J.D. LaFleur. So Trey'Dez is the only returning player in that tight end room, and you're going to have a new tight ends coach. You could argue, does a week in spring really matter? And maybe not, because you'd have the rest of spring, you'll have the summer, you'll have fall camp. You'll have plenty of time. But do you want to miss any time at all with a player who is going to be a really impactful player? We all think is going to be a really impactful player for you in 2025 and beyond. And that's kind of the decision they have to make. It's different with basketball, football, two-sport guys as like baseball, basketball, two-sport guys. Because you remember like Chad Jones or Spencer Ware, any of the guys that were basketball, baseball guys. Football, baseball guys. The challenge was like Spencer Ware, Chad Jones, for example. They'd show up in January and February and play baseball, and then when spring football started, they'd be gone for a month, right? 6 weeks. And then they'd have to come back to baseball, and when you're not seeing live pitching and you're not in the groove of baseball every day, like you got to get your timing back and sharpen your skills. So there would always be that long lag period, and other guys have won jobs. So you're a little behind the eight ball. To establish a role. It's a little different here because basketball will be over at the front end of spring, so we'll see how that may all go. But it's a decision they're going to have to make. But I would also say, look, this is a lesson that we all got to see learn with Jimmy Graham when he was with the Saints. Jimmy Graham was a basketball player at the University of Miami. He was a 6'6" forward at Miami. And it wasn't until, I believe, his junior year at Miami that he went and played football. And then he ended up becoming a third-round pick of the Saints and became an all-pro as he caught up the learning curve on football and was great. And what we learned in that exercise was a 6'6" power forward is just another guy on the floor. A 6'6" tight end is a freak show. And we're kind of seeing the same thing with Trey'Dez. Like, he was fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I mean, 6'7", 245, athletic, running. I mean, he's like a puppy they let off the chain, man. He was rolling out there. It was fun to watch on a team that there ain't a lot to really be interested in right now. But is Trey'Dez Green giving you 9 minutes a game off the bench for a team that's 1-5 in the conference the best use for a guy that's 6'7", 245, and when you see Trey'Dez on a football field, you're like, oh my God. Because he's lined up across from a slot corner who's 5'11", 195. Like, you're like, that looks like a high schooler against a fourth grader. It looks like Andy Reid in the old punt, pass, and kick videos that have gone viral. Like, that's what Trey'Dez on a football field looks like. On a basketball court, he's just a guy. He's fun. But what really is the ceiling there? So I don't have a great answer for you today, by the way. Trey'Dez loves basketball. He's with the team. He's going to go play. And he's fun to watch. But I could also see a day coming in the not-too-distant future where you go, hey, man, look, I get that you love basketball, but realize what the future is in basketball, and that ceiling is much lower than what the future is in football. Because in football, you could be a dude. I mean, there's no reason to think he couldn't be what Jimmy Graham was as an all-pro or what Tony Gonzalez became. I'm not like trying to say he'd be a Hall of Famer, but when you have the physical skill set and ability, if you apply yourself, you could be that. And he's on scholarship as a football player at LSU. So one to watch. But Trey'Dez made his basketball debut against Alabama. Tigers are back on the floor on Wednesday at the Maravich Center against number 1 Auburn, a 6 o'clock tip. Trey'Dez wearing the 8. Be out there on the hardwood for the basketball Tigers. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.